Startups get the party, startups get the party started. Startups get the party, startups get the party started. You want tech and tacos, tacos and tech, you know we got it, eh? Startups get the party, startups get the party started. Startups get the party, startups get the party started. Startups get the party, startups get the party started. You want tech and tacos, tacos and tech, you know we got it, eh?
Welcome back, everyone, to This Week in San Diego Tech News with Neal and Fred. Boo, 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 boo. What's up? This is the special San Diego Startup Week edition. Fred, welcome to the pod. Good to have you here.
Neal, it's good to see you, man. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, doing well. Been a busy week. It's one of those weeks that obviously every day is like a month in San Diego because of how much startup stuff is going on. This is year 13 of Startup Week, which has been pretty fun. And this is the first year where they added they call the X category, where the community can submit their community events to the calendar, and people have done that in force. And in fact, Hussein and I kicked it off Monday, the very first event of the week, where we had almost 200 people out in Carlsbad to do Hussein's Mixer meets the Carlsbad Industry Exchange meets celebrating my 100th eventship event, which I did not realize was going to be such a thing. But they've started a tradition. When you hit 100 events, they throw you a party. So I'm ready to party with the next person who's going to have 100 events. I don't know, who do you think that'll be? Who's going to have 100 events next on eventship?
That's a good call out, man. Maybe Jonah Peak or we have a lot of other community builders who are doing some cool stuff in San Diego. Congrats on that 100 event milestone, man. I'm sure you'll get to 1,000 in no time at this rate.
In no time, literally, because that day alone I threw two events unrelated, like they're just community events for besides the Startup Week event. That night there's a big conference in town, AdvaMed, which is a big med device, life science, biotech conference. And actually a bunch of San Diego groups had parties to kind of coincide with that. So we did one, me and Arjun Bansal partnered with Gunderson and Silicon Valley Bank and did a med tech event just kind of across the train tracks from the convention center, which was awesome. I heard Cooley had one going. I heard Biocom had one going. It was great to see San Diego blurring our communities with the, general biotech community conference that was happening there. Why don't we just skip to biotech news real quick? Because I know you're giving a talk on the state of bio. We're already on that topic. Give us a little pre-brief of what you're going to talk about.
Yeah, I would say this month has been, a big month for biotech community. There's a global med tech conference happening this week, right here in San Diego. There was two big biotech conferences last week. One was hosted by Scripps Research, and then there was one on Saturday. It was a biopharma conference in Del Mar, and really the topic was around the state of venture capital in biotech today. Obviously there's been some cuts in NIH funding and grant funding. And so it has caused some companies to scramble and try to find success in this volatile market. The IPO market has been closed largely this year. There hasn't been as much VC fundings. And so there's been expert panels from investors, scientists, also just like pillars in San Diego's biotech ecosystem. The founders of Scripps Research was there. There was UCSD in the room. There was, multiple serial biotech founders who started companies like Crinetics, Janix, Avalon Bioventures. And really the sentiment was, obviously 2025 has been a tough year, but we still need good science, and we need drugs to get commercialized to help patients and solve tough problems like cancer and obesity, etc., diabetes. And yeah, it's definitely an interesting time to be in the mix, and San Diego's at the leading forefront of it. We're obviously a top 3 biotech hub, and so it's no surprise to anyone why there's been a lot of conversations around how folks are navigating this just tough environment. I don't think anyone has seen this much just volatility since the market crash in 2008. So it's an interesting time for sure.
It is. Yeah, I'm hearing interesting conversations. There's a lot of and there's a lot of like fear and panic, but but I s- I don't see it per se from the at the early stages, but that's because we have to weather 10 plus year storms, right? That's what founders are up against. And what we talk about is more the lack of liquidity, but yet San Diego had the biggest high point liquidity in 2024. We had like 10 to 20 billion in M&A exits last year. So money got unlocked, which means it is going to flow back. We just got to weather the storm, right? I think there's a few other things happening. The real estate market, which does not work on the same wavelength as venture capital, right? They build a project for 2, 3 years, then try to fill it for 2, 3 years, and then sell it. They're out in 5. Well, we're out in 10 to 12, and we're overbuilt in biotech spaces right now. So people are hurting on the real estate side, but you know, tech companies they don't always are in sync on real estate. So that's just my perspective in that regard. I see as long as we can hold on and actually have some perseverance here, things will continue to get better. But I'm glad you're continuing to beat the drum and being a public voice on that. And I'm glad we can have that chat here as well too. Let's close out just the rest of what Startup Week is happening. Might as well talk it through it since we're in the middle of it. We had an awesome event Tuesday night at Mintz 11, co-hosted with JP Morgan. It was a like startup showcase. I would say it was like almost very much like the cool companies, but open to the public, which was really fun to have 2 pitch rooms, 30 or 40 companies, also tabling. Just a really well done event. And I didn't know Mintz 11's office could hold that many people. There was hundreds of people there. It was awesome. Then Wednesday was at San Diego State, which was really fun. Cody Barbo flew in. We had a bunch of other people fly in, and him and I riffed off of it a little bit. We did a co-founder matching exercise with about 100 people, where I gave everyone stickers based on their skill set and made people find their complementary pairs to practice finding, your potential co-founder. And then pitch competition, a college edition last night, which was really fun. And I gave out an award to a San Diego State startup that all the judges in the end actually threw down money for, which was kind of cool. Up the ante for this because the pitches were awesome. Thursday, right now, Tijuana Day, which is super cool. A few hundred people bussing down to the Arcus Nexus campus, which will be always really fun. And then Friday, UCSD Day, which we are participating with the startup hike, kicking the day off at 6:30 in the morning at Gliderport, which is right there at UCSD. We supersized it this year. Hike, beach cleanup, a startup coffee truck, and DJ dance party sunrise session with the Church of Music, who runs a weekly dance party on Sundays at Gliderport. So I was like, hey, just come move it to this Friday. And then a whole day of AI talk. There's a ton going on at the Qualcomm Institute. I know Cheryl Goodman's leading a few panels. Got Ramesh from the AI School of UCSD. Um, it's gonna be a really fun day. And then the heavyweight pitch competition by the end of the night, Friday night. And I think Erwin Jacobs maybe reprising a role year 2, speaking again, I think. So a really star-studded last day of startup week. And then, man, we need some rest for the weekend. I just like one day of no event is what I need on Saturday.
Yeah, I would just say, yeah, it's just great to see the vibrant ecosystem from Carlsbad to Tijuana to UCSD and La Jolla. There's literally something for everyone, and I'm looking forward to checking out Friday's event. I think there's a robotics event at UCSD with some local faces from Model AI to RoboLink, among others. So yeah, if you see me out there, we'd love to say hello and catch up and hear what's new. There's stuff going on in SF for their Tech Week, LA Tech Week. Seems like this is a an opportunity for there's something for everyone to get involved in the startup scene, whether you're in San Diego, Bay Area, or LA. And we're looking forward to kind of highlighting who are the winners of this year's pitch competition on the next episode as well.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, depending on when this episode goes out, I will have already gone up and back to San Francisco to throw a GPLP funders event in SF for SF Tech Week, which is happening now. And then LA Tech Week next week, I'm throwing a a panel on the convergence of media and technology in the city of Burbank on Tuesday, October 14th. We've got 160 people signed up for that event,
Wow.
which should be super fun. All the events are on the west side, but we said let's throw an event for on the east side where so everyone can come to that. So looking forward to that. I know a bunch of people are going up to LA for it. I know Andy White reached out from Buyback Ventures and said, "What events are you going to?" Just so we can sync up. So yeah, October is a good month where everything's ratcheting up before the holidays start. So get the conferences out, get the fundings done, so that we can close the year right. Speaking of fundings, we've got some recent funding news that was both on tech, biotech, and consumer. Let's dive into it. You got the first scoop here, the first funding news of the week.
Yeah, so we actually had a seed round in the tech space, which is, not something I've been seeing a lot this year. We had a company called Turnout Technologies. The CEO, on his bio says, "We're building the first modern consumer advocacy platform for everyday Americans." This is kind of new on my radar. This is a former two-time entrepreneur. He used to run a company called Flare, and he's now back with a new company. So they just merged out of stealth, thanks to Connect for curating, the recent fundings. We also had a life science company, huge funding round. Crystal Therapeutics, 205 million Series A. This is led by a serial entrepreneur, James McKay, who's also on the board at Connect. And this was, yeah, a huge partnership they did with the big pharma company. And so it's great to see some funding momentum in San Diego on both technology and all, as well as life sciences. I think you have a scoop on a consumer company if you want to take that one.
We do, we do. We've got an IPO, which we got to ring the bell because a San Diego founded company is about to ring the bell by the end of the month. Once Upon a Farm, which is an organic baby food company, started here in San Diego by Ari and Cassandra. We had them on the pod during COVID, pretty sure. They were in, I think, Cassandra's garage when they recorded the pod, which is where they started the company. And then shortly thereafter brought Jennifer Gardner on as a co-founder, the actress herself, and things just skyrocketed from there. Brought in a CEO who took over for Ari, and they've hit the 100 million revenue mark and filed to go public. So very excited to see this. Ari is already on to his next company, Coconut Cult, which he would then will take that one, coconut yogurt company, to new heights. So yeah, we continue to talk about the CPG, which is the consumer packaged good industry of San Diego, is super strong, both in foods and in apparel and in sports and active lifestyle gear. And so seeing an exit and liquidity come to fruition just tells me recyclability, because people are going to go create the next thing after that, which we're excited to see. So congrats to Ari, Cassandra, and team. Maybe we'll do a little ring the bell moment together with them on the pod, which would be pretty fun to get them back in order here. But great news here. Just recently, let's talk some big tech. Qualcomm did its annual summit. I think it's the Snapdragon Summit they do every year in Hawaii. Was it the last month? They had some news. It's usually a time for them to talk product releases, which they did. A number of new chips applying to new markets. That's been the year-over-year, multi-year trend for them, is diversifying out of handsets, getting into new spaces like drones, like automotive, and obviously anywhere AI is going, they want to be powering that too. It's just part of the chip chain for sure. Another local startup who's been a partner with them, iPop AI, also was on hand at the summit, the Snapdragon Summit, and it also had, I think, a big release there as well too. They're a vision as a service startup that actually Inlock we invested in about a year ago. And what they do is enable you to add in kind of the classification layer into any product. So think about if you've got a camera as part of your app or your software, this enables auto classification of imagery and using that data back into your app. So image classification or vision technology as a service is kind of how I look at them. And it's cool to see them continue to have a really strong relationship with a large enterprise customer here that is doing, enterprise grade technology push out. You have any extra further here, Fred?
Yeah, just to add, Qualcomm obviously is one of the largest employers in San Diego, homegrown company, leading semiconductor firm. They actually made an acquisition. Was doing some research, and they acquired a electronics maker in Italy. This will allow them to get closer to robot making and robotics. So it's interesting to see them make that move as well. I was just curious on how their stock is doing. They're actually currently up 10% on the year to date, trading at 164 and their market cap is around 177 billion. So yes, they seem like they're still moving along, humming along. And one thing I've been thinking about is just big tech in San Diego. I don't think it's talked about enough. San Diego is obviously home to biotech companies and consumer companies like Vuori Clothing, but big tech continues to grow in San Diego. I'm not sure how much I could share, but Apple has been expanding tremendously in San Diego. If you look at their website, they're hiring for a number of careers. They have a standalone page for San Diego that says we want to hire 5,000 employees by the end of 2026. And they join other group big tech companies like Meta, Snapchat, TikTok's here, and Google is also here. So there's just, something that I don't think is talked about enough is there's big tech alongside Qualcomm who, live and work and play and enjoy San Diego and continue to grow their teams here. So I think that's going to be a growing trend going into 2026 as well.
I agree. And I ran into a few Apple engineers last night at Startup Week who were out looking at new ideas. They're like, hey, I'm thinking of working on this. What do you think? How should I get started? And I was like, well, step one, you did it. You showed up at Startup Week, and you're asking and you will get connected. So love seeing them integrate into the community. And another longtime Apple team that's been in San Diego is the Shazam team, has had an engineering team quietly away here in San Diego as well too. So love to connect the dots there. And we know if we just keep investing in San Diego, it'll all bear to fruition here. Some events that you can get plugged in. So obviously, if you're listening to this, come out to Startup Week even after the last day. But coming up soon is Stocktoberfest, which is a fintech festival connecting people in every corner of investing, from stocks, crypto, wealth tech, banking tech, all the things happening in Coronado, led by the legendary fintech investor Howard Lindzon and his team at Social Leverage, a venture capital firm that pretty much is San Diego based at this point. Howard's the only one, I think. Well, Tom is in Phoenix. Howard is here part-time, and then Gary Bennett and Matt Ober hold it down in San Diego that we continue to do fintech lunches with. So Stocktoberfest, me and Fred will be out there the 20th through the 22nd in Coronado. It's beautiful. It's fun. And man, the people you run into are awesome. I mean, they're just people you see on CNBC and they're just there, because Howard has called upon them to come. And Stocktwits itself has really, which started in San Diego maybe 10 plus years ago, has really rode the wave of social investing, even alongside Robinhood. So it'll be cool to see new features, new ways that people are doing social investing. We just released a pod today with Matt Ober, general partner at Social Leverage, so you can hear a deeper dive on that. We'll link that in the show notes. That same week, we're doing our San Diego Defense Tech Gathering and Co-Build Day. This is where 50, 60 or so San Diego defense ecosystem leaders come out, from Active Navy to Saronic, which is, big defense tech that's moved here, to startups like, Dan Meiji, Firestorm, Mike Sims at Imperium, and everything else. So it's kind of a convergence of all of that. Come out October 23rd, also linked in the show notes. And as always, we get our events powered by the Social Coyote, which is a weekly newsletter on what's happening in San Diego tech. The newsletter. Anything else, Fred, on your radar, tech events wise?
No, Neil, but I'll see you on Friday for the ST Founders Hikes San Diego Startup Edition. And thanks always for tuning in to This Week in San Diego Tech News. Always a pleasure to do this. And, we're really excited and bullish on San Diego. This is just the beginning of the flywheel effect for San Diego startup ecosystem. And yeah, we welcome you to get involved and follow some socials and our Substack as well.
Yeah, definitely. Make sure you go and follow Fred at the business of San Diego.substack.com. My Substack's in there as well. I'm currently freshbrewtech.substack.com, but I'm actually going to be reunifying that to risingtidepartners.substack.com. So look for that news. Something cool that happened this week. I met someone in person who said, I've been following you and your newsletter for like 10 plus years. And this is my first time meeting you in person. Ian Holt, shout out to you for coming out and getting connected. I think he actually moved away and moved back and still has been subscribing. So it means a lot to meet all of you and for all of you to do the work of sharing the news and connecting each other, because that's what we need. We need interconnectedness, and the density will just happen. So thanks for all of you for tuning in and amplifying and connecting. We'll see you next week. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Fred.
Always a pleasure, Neal.
Likewise. Cheers.
Tacos and tech is on smash for the green guacamole. Keep accountants counting beans. Contador cuentan frijoles. Founders trying to raise some queso. La vida San Diego. School of rapping fire. Tortillas round jalapenos. In these modern times of craft beer and coffee, my coding yoga posse. Fold the body, origami. We be surfing Coronado. Eating tacos el gordo. The tacos stand in puesto. Lucha libre and sombrero. Gotta shout out Tecos Daniels by the ocean. Watch the sunset. La Jolla shores. Entrepreneurs trying to get funded. When San Diego Startup Week is popping in the summer. Oceanside to Tijuana. ST be full of hustlers. From couch surfing to penthouses right on the beach. Tech leaders who believe stars are within reach. We interviewing founders who be shooting for the moon. Hashtag SD Tecos with your host Neal Bloom. Come on. Startups get the party. Startups get the party started. Startups get the party. Startups get the party started. Startups get the party. Startups get the party started. You want tech and tacos, tacos and tech. You know we got it. Hey. Startups get the party. Startups get the party